Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Monday Lunchtime Digest for August 18, 2025. It is just me again here today. So, Haley is away on a well deserved vacation. So, she is out on the West Coast right now. And it is just me getting to join you and talk about things that are going on in the world of mental health and at the Oklahoma Counseling Institute. And one of the things before we jump in, as I discussed before, there are so many things to talk about that is just too much to try to put on the agenda just for the short time that we have together. So I really encourage you to go to our Facebook page or our LinkedIn page and just go through the feed there because we get up every single morning and we look and see what's going on in mental health news and post those things to our Facebook and LinkedIn feed. So check that out. You'll find lots of stories there that are local and national that are relevant to you. And then, of course, I encourage you to like our page and also follow our page so that it will show up readily in your feed. So, talking about what is going on in the world of mental health right now. So, I think as we got into a little bit last time, looking at the new executive order that President Trump came out with a couple of weeks ago that looked at homelessness and making homelessness be illegal, and then also using it as a way for civil commitment to have someone be committed into psychiatric care. So here, KFF, which was formerly known as the Kaiser Family Foundation, it's a nonprofit organization that provides information on health issues. They recently came out with an article. Again, this is in our Facebook feed and our LinkedIn feed that talks more about this. It's a really good article, talks about civil commitment and the history of that. And one of the interesting things as you look at this executive order, which there's a link in here that will take you to the executive order, where it instructs the Attorney General to look at federal or state judicial precedents that into in the termination of consent decrees that impede the United States policy of encouraging civil commitment of individuals with mental illness who pose a risk to themselves or the public, or are living on the streets and cannot care for themselves in appropriate facilities for appropriate periods of time. So that is something that adds another reason why someone could be put in inpatient care. So he is encouraging then the Attorney General to look at overturning some of those decisions that then would give the legal rationale for why someone who is homeless could then be put into inpatient care. So for years, as you know, we had where someone had to be an immediate danger to themselves or others before they could put in inpatient care. So what this executive order is encouraging the Attorney General to do is to add to that living on the streets and cannot care for themselves as being a reason why someone could be committed to inpatient care. And of course, there's things that have to be done. There has to be some court cases that have to come up, and there also has to be some laws that have to be made. So that's something for us to pay attention to in Oklahoma is during this next legislative session, if that's something that comes up, if it comes up that if a person is living on the streets and cannot care for themselves in appropriate facilities, that if that then is put into some sort of bill that would then allow somebody to be placed in inpatient care. So again, as I said, for years, it was immediately danger to yourself or immediately danger to others. And then if you'll remember back in 2024, there was a added to that House Bill 3451, which went into effect November 1st, 2024, that added to that if someone had been deteriorating over the past 72 hours, then that could be used as a way for somebody to have inpatient care. So this is something that, let's say somebody has been frequently suicidal or endangering themselves in some other way, and they have a history of that. Well, if a mental health therapist or a family member is seeing them starting to decompensate within the past 72 hours, they haven't made a suicide attempt, they haven't even said that they were suicidal, but they're decompensating, and in the past, this has led to that, then that can be reason enough, if documented correctly, that can be a reason for somebody to have inpatient care. So that adds another way for people to be able to get treatment, because for so long we were having to wait for that moment. Did they say they were suicidal, or did they, were they taking actions in that before you could look at that higher level of care? So this adds where we can get that higher level of care a little bit easier than in the past. So if you're kind of wanting to get updated on what is considered criteria for inpatient care, then we have a webinar that's coming up. So Friday, September 5th, the live webinar is Exploring Crisis Stabilization and Higher Levels of Care with Colin Turpin, LPC. So he is an inpatient therapist at Oakwood Springs, and they will help, during this training, will help us to better understand when we need to seek higher levels of care. So I encourage you to sign up for that webinar and to join us on Friday, September 5th at 9 a.m. Also, something that has been in the news is supporters of recreational marijuana, that they are collecting signatures to make marijuana legal for recreational use. So they started collecting signatures on August 6th, and the deadline to turn in the signatures is November 3rd. So they have to have 172,993 signatures for that. And if you remember, there was a bill that was signed just last year, Senate Bill 1027. I say last year, last legislative session, that puts more restrictions on how these initiatives can be put on the ballot. And so now there's a certain percentage that has to be signatures that have to be from each county, as opposed to all of them being able to have been gotten in just a few counties like Oklahoma County and some of the larger counties. So now you have to get a certain percentage from each county before it can be put on the ballot. So what are your thoughts about legalizing marijuana for recreational use? And so just in our very unscientific online poll that we did over the past week, 100% of the respondents said that marijuana should not be legalized. And so assuming that most of the people that landed on our Facebook page for the Oklahoma Counseling Institute are mental health professionals, then the people that responded to that 100% said that it should not be legalized. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts about why you do not think it should be legalized, or if you feel the other way, if you feel like it should be legalized, then certainly put your comments in the comment section for this video. So that is a good segue into something else. So we are having a live webinar on Friday, October 3rd on THC use among adolescents and adults. So we're going to have Dr. Francis Patterson, who is going to be teaching that live webinar. And I know for me, as a licensed alcohol and drug counselor, that have over the years seen where people are becoming more and more dependent on marijuana. And so with the THC levels being so much higher, the effects are so much stronger, and end up having people that find themselves using it daily, not just use a little bit at the end of the day to fall asleep, but then also using it daily to cope with stressors, and trying to find treatment for people that find themselves using it and abusing it on a daily basis. And so we are really excited to have this webinar. This is something that I've been interested in for a long time, this topic. And then also people have asked us about this topic, and to be able to have Dr. Patterson come speak on that, we're really, really excited about that. So again, this is on Friday, October 3rd, 2025, live webinar from 2 p.m. to 5:15 p.m. on THC THC use among adolescents and young adults. So we hope that you will join us for that. All right. And then also just talking about some of our other live webinars that we have coming up. And so, as already mentioned, exploring crisis stabilization, higher levels of care on September 5th, ethics and cultural competency and working with clients who identify as Muslim. That is coming up on September 5th. That's from 2 p.m. to 5:15 p.m. And then we have Haley, who is going to be doing a in-person workshop, Protecting Your Practice, Technology, and the Therapist. This will count as ethics. And this will be in Enid at the Garfield County Sheriff's Department. And so if you're interested in seeing Haley for an in-person event on that topic, then you can register there, Protecting Your Practice, Technology, and the Therapist. And then also live webinar on October 3rd, Beyond Skills, Introduction to DBT, Dialectical Behavior Therapy, and then a live webinar October 3rd, which, as I've already mentioned, THC use among adolescents and young adults. So certainly keep an eye out at our webpage here, counselinginstitute.org, in order to keep up with all the live webinars that we have coming up. So we will have live webinars starting next month in September. Also in October, I've already mentioned, we'll have live webinars in November. And then in December, we have our winter webinar weekend, where we have live webinars on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So if you just learn best in a live webinar situation, then certainly join us for those live webinars. If your license dictates that you get a certain number of CEs in a live setting, then that meets that criteria for you. So hopefully would love for you to come check that out. And then also, last but not least, would like to talk about Rick Pearson. He is going to be retiring from the Oklahoma Board of Licensed Alcohol and Drug Counselors. And so we are really excited for him. He's going to have his retirement party that is going to be coming up this Friday, August 22nd from 2 to 4 p.m. He is going to have it's a come and go event, but he's going to be speaking briefly around 3 p.m. And so I'm planning on joining that myself. I've known Rick for a number of years, back whenever he worked at Integris before he became the executive director of the Oklahoma Board for Licensed Alcohol and Drug Counselors. So again, would love to see you there. I know him and Kathy would love to see you there at the Oklahoma Board of Licensed Alcohol and Drug Counseling's office on Friday, August 22nd from 2 to 4 p.m. Also, we would love to see you at our next Whimsical Wednesday. And so our next Whimsical Wednesday is Wednesday, September 3rd from 5:30 to 7 p.m. It is always the first Wednesday of the month. So the first Wednesday in September is Wednesday, September 3rd. So we have already identified a place. It is a place called Roundabout Midnight up here in Edmond, right off of Broadway up here in Edmond. And so they have cocktails, mocktails. We will be there from 5:30 to 7 p.m. It's just a way to meet with other mental health professionals in a relaxed atmosphere to talk about mental health things, but also to not talk about mental health things, to talk about all types of things. So just a way to be able to relax with other mental health professionals. So we would love to have you join us at our next Whimsical Wednesday, September 3rd, 5:30 to 7 p.m. And you will have a chance to win free continuing education there. Haley always brings a game of some sort. And so the winner wins free continuing education. So also to talk to you about a little bit of other things, as you know, we have Smart Recovery here. Smart Recovery is a alternative to AA. So if you have clients that AA is just not a fit for them for whatever reason, then send them to Smart Recovery. And then we also have Smart Family and Friends, which are for obviously family and friends of someone who is in recovery or who should be in recovery, to give them support. It's also based off of an evidence-based curriculum on the best ways that they can encourage their family member towards sobriety. So It is the Smart Family and Friends group. Both of these groups are hybrid, and so you can attend in person or online, and you can find out information about how to attend these groups at smartedmond.com. Also at Edmond Counseling Professional Development, we have our organizational wellness training. So if you feel like that your organization could use a wellness training on things such as self-care, coping with burnout, all of those wonderful wellness things, if you feel like that your direct care staff, your therapist, your administrative staff could benefit from that, then contact us and we would be happy to come do an organizational wellness training for your organization. Also, we have career assessments here. So if you have someone who is 18 years old and older, not quite sure what direction that they want to go in their career, whether they're first starting off or if they're just looking for a career change, then send them our way. We do evidence-based assessments to help give them better direction in what may be of interest to them for their career choice. So to learn about all of our services here at Edmond Counseling and Professional Development, just go to edmondcounseling.com. All right, so for our, let's see if I can find my piece of paper here. Here we go. Finally found it. So our winner for this week's drawing for free continuing education is Kristen Curran-Stalin. So congratulations, Kristen. You have won free continuing education. And how did Kristen win? Well, she liked and or commented on this post on last week's Monday Lunchtime Digest. So if you like, comment, share, each one of those things enter you into a chance to win free continuing education. So you just put into a drawing. And Kristen Curran-Stallings, we pulled your name. So just reach out to us at hello@edmondcounseling.com and let us know which free continuing education on-demand course that you would like. Or you can also call us or text us at 405-440-3034, and we would be happy to enroll you in the on-demand course of your choosing. Congratulations, Kristen. So the question for this week is, if you weren't a therapist, what career would you be in? So I know that all of us have thought about this before, and I'm sure I've asked each other about this before too, that if for whatever reason you weren't a therapist, you have went a different direction, what career would you want to be in? So for me personally, for years, the career that I would say I would want to do if I wasn't a therapist would be a librarian. And so to be around books, because I love books, I love the smell of books, I love the feel of books, I love everything about books. And so to be in a library with lots of books and just be filing library books with my library cart in a nice, quiet environment, that for me would be where I would probably pick if I wasn't a therapist. Also, back when there used to be a reference desk, and now there's not so much because of ChatGPT and Googling and everything else. But back in the old days, whenever there was a reference desk, that if you had a question, you'd go up to the librarian at the reference desk and ask them about it. And then they would look something up and get up and go find the book for you and show you the answer to your question. That was something that really intrigued me too, because I love researching questions and then helping people find answers to their questions. So that is what I would want to do if I wasn't a therapist, was to be a librarian. So would love to hear from you that if you weren't a therapist, what would you want to be? And so, so you answer that question or give us a comment about what we've talked about today as far as some of the other news items that we talked about. Like and share. And again, each time that you do one of those things, then you enter into the drawing to get free continuing education. And as always, we really, really appreciate your help in letting other people know about us and attending our on-demand web workshops or on-demand or in-person workshops, on-demand courses, live webinars. Just your participation in that every single time that you do that, that you tell someone else about us, that you attend one of our trainings, that you like or share a post, then you are helping to promote the mission of having quality continuing education in Oklahoma, as well as providing relevant news and resources to Oklahoma mental health professionals. And we thank you guys so much for that. So everyone, have a great week, and we will see you next Monday. Bye-bye.